If you want a decent stream, you need a PC to stream from. I mean, sure, you can stream from a console, but you won't have much flexibility in terms of how your stream looks or sounds. And you can stream from a laptop, but it's going to give you a lot of technical issues in terms of heat output. But Isaac, I don't have a desktop PC and they're really expensive. Well, yes, they can be, but they don't have to be. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 different PC builds that you can use for both gaming and streaming at the same time. Welcome to episode 2 of the ultimate guide to beginner Twitch streaming. Roll the intro. Now, I can't take all the credit for these builds. I designed these PCs on stream with my viewers, and they came up with loads of good feedback and amazing ideas. Speaking of which, if you ever want to join in on the hardware discussion or have any questions about technology, streaming, or why you can never have too many dogs, I stream every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday over on Twitch, and the link is in the description below. Also, leave a comment with your PC specs, and we'll see which of my viewers has the most awesome gaming and streaming rig. Before I get into the nitty gritty and give you the specs of each build, I want to run through my thought process when I was designing these, and explain why I picked each individual component. One thing I'm sure you'll notice about all of these builds is they all have an AMD processor, an Nvidia graphics card, and at least 16GB of RAM. The reason for going for AMD processors is they typically have more cores than Intel processors at the same price range, which is essential if you're going to be doing multi-threaded tasks like recording, streaming, and gaming all at the same time, and especially essential when you get to things like video editing and motion graphics, which you will be doing a lot of as a content creator. I chose Nvidia GPUs, specifically Nvidia GPUs with the Turing architecture for the NVENC. The NVENC, or the Nvidia encoder, is a special chip that you get on Nvidia graphics cards that can be used for, well, encoding. It can be used for both streaming and recording without any performance loss in your games, and although AMD do have a similar chip, it's just not up to the same standard as the NVENC. Finally, I chose 16GB as the minimum amount of RAM to ensure that as games get more demanding, your PC is going to last several years down the line. I'm going to go over all the builds now, but if you want a sneak peek or to follow along, they're all over on my kit.co page, as well as a special PC that myself and my viewers put together for a little bit of fun. You can find the kit.co page at kit.co/IsaacVaughan or down in the description below. Let's get started with the budget build. This PC will set you back around $600, but it should allow you to stream most games at 720p with a moderate, probably static overlay and a webcam. So, what are you getting for your money? You'll get an AMD Ryzen 3 3100 3.6GHz processor with 4 cores and 8 threads, though you can downgrade to the Ryzen 3 3200G if you need to save a few bucks. Both of these processors come with Ryzen stock coolers, which will be more than sufficient as long as you're not planning on overclocking. The processor will be socketed in an MSI B450i Gaming Plus AC Mini ITX motherboard, with 16GB of G-Skill Aegis DDR4 2666MHz RAM. However, on an important note, the motherboard will need a BIOS update in order to work with the CPU we chose, so make sure you have access to another computer and a spare USB flash drive before you buy. Your gaming will be powered by a Gigabyte GeForce GTX 1650 Super graphics card, and your actual machine will be powered by an EVGA W3 450W 80+ certified power supply unit. Finally, for storage, you'll not only have a 1TB hard drive to store all your games, but also a 120GB SATA SSD to use as a boot drive and maximise your performance. This will all be housed in a Silverstone SG13 V2 Mini ITX case, which isn't the prettiest tower on the market, but it's very cost effective and has plenty of airflow. Okay, so you're not going to be maxing out any settings as streaming at 1080p 60 here, but it's a great option for those just starting out, and you should be able to do some light video editing on it too. But Isaac, I have a little bit more money to spend and want to be able to stream both PC and console games. Let me introduce you to the mid-range monster. Now, mid-range is very much a blanket term that could cover a wide variety of specifications at a wide variety of prices. However, the configuration that Chat and I landed on comes to around $1,600, about $1,000 more than the budget build. This sounds like a lot, but for your money you'll snag an AMD Ryzen 7 3700X 8-core 16-thread processor with a base core of 3.6GHz. We went with an Asus Prime X570p motherboard. which won't need a BIOS update by the way, and again 16GB of G.Skill DDR4 RAM, but this time running at 3200 MHz rather than 2666. For the graphics card, we ended up choosing another Gigabyte card, but a far more up to date one this time. If you follow this build exactly, you'll end up with a Gigabyte GeForce RTX 2070 Super with 8GB of VRAM, twice as much as in the budget build. This will all be powered by the Corsair RM750X 80 Plus Gold 750W power supply unit, which is, incidentally, the same power supply as in the next build I'm going to discuss. Again, this build has an SSD and a hard drive, but this time we went with the Sabrent Rocket Q 500GB NVMe SSD, which is bigger and faster than the SATA SSD in the budget build. This will not only be a great boot drive, but will give you faster load times on a few of your most played games. The hard drive is bigger too, as we went with the 2TB Seagate Barracuda Compute 3.5-inch drive, which will sit nicely inside the stunning Thermaltake Level 20 MT case that Chat and I chose for this build. I did promise console game streaming on this one too, which is why the Kit.co build also has an Elgato Game Capture HD60S capture card, which will allow you to both stream and record your Smash Bros prowess at up to 1080p 60fps. With specs like this, you can easily stream at 720p 60 and have most games on medium to high settings. It'll also handle the creation of motion graphics and a bit of heavier video editing like an absolute champ. So if you have the money to spend, but perhaps want to save a little bit more on a mic and a camera, this is 100% the build to go for. The last build we're going to go over today is quite special, and not just because it's an Enthusiast class gaming and streaming PC that can handle 1080p 60 streaming and probably a million other things at the same time, but because the following configuration is actually my stream machine. Well, it's about as close as Chat and I could get on PC Part Picker, because the case cooler combination that I personally use has been discontinued. I am absolutely in love with my PC, and it has been the best money I have spent in a long time. Speaking of money, what does this absolute monster of a PC cost? Well, around $2,500. There are more expensive builds available, obviously, but I deliberately avoided the Ryzen 9 3950X and the Nvidia GeForce RTX 2080 Ti due to their pretty dodgy price to performance ratios compared to their step down counterparts. So what's inside this thing? Well, to start, there's an AMD Ryzen 9 3900X processor, which boasts 12 cores and 24 threads. Its 3.8 GHz base clock is kept cool by a Corsair H150i RGB Pro triple fan AIO liquid cooler for great overclocking support. The motherboard is an Asus TUF Gaming X570 Plus, which has funky RGB as well, by the way. And that provides seating for the 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro RAM, which runs at a whopping 3600 MHz. The Nvidia Founders Edition 2080 Super graphics card can handle basically every game on the market at the moment quite happily, and again this build has the Corsair RM750X power supply. In terms of storage, I actually have Samsung Evo 840 250GB SSD for my boot drive, but you could quite easily replace this with an M.2 NVMe drive instead. Speaking of M.2 NVMe SSDs, my build also has a 2TB Sabrent Rocket Q SSD for video storage and lightning fast game load times. It's brilliant. In terms of capturing my console gameplay, I use an Elgato Game Capture 4K 60 Pro Mark II, which is an internal capture card that plugs straight into my motherboard. Finally, and I don't use this myself, but Chat and I really liked it anyway, is the Corsair 275R Tower, which is super sleek and stylish, and has plenty of tempered glass to show off all the funky RGB in this build. And there's a lot of RGB in this build. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. If you're getting into content creation more seriously and want a PC that will last you into the future, this build will do you just fine. Huh? What's that? That last one wasn't good enough? You have lots of extra money burning a hole in your pocket and you want to spend it all on the craziest PC imaginable? Well, have no fear. We knew you people would come along, which is why Chat and I designed the super, mega, over-the-top, gaming / streaming, dual PC, TM, This is the ultimate, the absolute craziest, the most expensive machine that we could put together that actually still functions. It is literally 2 PCs in the same case, and it is all yours if you have a cool 20 grand lying around. I won't be going over that one in this video, but it's on the kit.co. Speaking of kit.co, the parts lists for all the PCs I've built today can be found at kit.co/IsaacVaughan, which is linked down in the description. Just a little disclaimer, I do earn a little bit of commission of any purchases through my kit.co, but you won't be charged any extra money. So if you're following my advice and building one of these PCs anyway, I would really appreciate if you could do that to support me so that I can continue making videos like this one. As always, if you've got any questions about what I've mentioned in today's video, I do stream every Monday, Thursday and Saturday over on Twitch, and we talk a lot about technology and streaming while I play some awesome games. And I also offer some YouTube and Twitch channel reviews from time to time. That link is in the description, along with the link to my Discord server, which is an awesome place where you can come to chat, hang out and speak to members of the streaming community. And we even have the occasional movie night. And remember, if you've enjoyed this video and you're enjoying the ultimate guide to beginner Twitch streaming series, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button, and maybe even ding that little bell so you don't miss the next installment in the series. Next time we're going to be looking at all the other hardware a streamer needs, like a webcam, a microphone and lights. So I'll be sure to see you then. Ciao!